What's up, everyone? Harris here, and I'm here today with a training specifically for solopreneurs from the archives of our last SoloCon event. Now, if you're a solopreneur, like a coach, consultant, speaker, author, creative service provider, a thought leader, a helper of some kind, an expert who is trying to monetize your expertise through the wisdom that you've experienced, through the story you lived, you're in the right place because there are very few resources like this, but that's not how things seem. If you really think about it and you ask the average person, they would think, oh yeah, the internet, especially here, YouTube, it is riddled with content for business owners like us. And the reality is it's just not the case, which is why so many solopreneurs are struggling. Solopreneurs are a unique type of entrepreneurs. Solopreneurship is like a category of entrepreneurship, and it is very different than freelancing. And you might think this is semantics, but the words matter because the business model for each one is different. Let me explain. If you think of yourself as an entrepreneur, that is great because that's what solopreneurs are. But they're a type of entrepreneur. And if you don't get this straight, you go looking for resources about entrepreneurship. And if you look it up, what do you find? The same stuff you might find in Entrepreneur Magazine. It's filled with all sorts of stuff about franchising opportunities, raising capital, taking on business partners, selling equity, maybe exiting someday from your company so you can sell your business. And at the end of the day, solopreneurs like us, it's difficult to sell our businesses because we are our businesses. I can't sell equity in me. I can sell equity in a brand or a company that's bigger than me. And it's certainly possible for a solopreneur to grow out of solopreneurship and into entrepreneurship. We can talk about what scale looks like for solopreneurs. But the reality is most people, especially when starting out or even when they're still in a growth stage, they get stuck looking for resources and they fall into either the freelance or entrepreneurship category. And a lot of it just doesn't work. And so if you found yourself spinning your wheels, that might be why. And when we discovered this, we realized no one's really creating resources specifically for the nuances of solopreneurship, which is why we started doing this event called SoloCon. Now, a lot of the people that come to SoloCon also might be like you. They don't think of themselves as solopreneurs yet until they hang out with us for a little while. They come in thinking that they are freelancers because sometimes the word freelancer and solopreneur also get used interchangeably. And that's not the case either. And one of the biggest differences is between the mindset and the business model. You see, freelancers tend to focus on their deliverables, right? If you're a consultant, it's like your consulting package, the number of hours. Maybe you're a coach who sells a package of sessions. Maybe you're a creative service provider, like a writer or a graphic designer, and you sell design packages or logos or websites, or you a copywriter who sells a block of emails that you wrote for a client, something like that. Freelancers tend to get paid for what they deliver, their deliverables. Entrepreneurs, specifically solopreneurs, get paid for what they deliver people from. Let me say that again. Freelancers get paid for what they deliver. Solopreneurs get paid for what they deliver people from. Your price as a solopreneur is anchored in one thing alone: the value of the problem you solve and the life or work of the person you're solving that problem for. Period. Your price isn't determined by how many years of experience you have, your self-esteem, how much you feel like you're worth. I know that's popular and it's going around a lot right now, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what you charge, what you are able to charge, your pricing is anchored in the value of the problem you solve and the life of the person that you solve it for. And you can change your ideal client, and it even changes the value, even if you spend the same amount of time solving the problem between those two different types of clients. You see, when you're a freelancer, you're trapped by how much time you have. And when you run out of time or you get booked solid, you hit a ceiling, and you can't grow out of that unless you can raise your price. But sometimes your price is already high, and you've maxed out your pricing opportunity within your existing market. You've got to get out of time-based pricing and into value-based pricing. It's one of the big differences about solopreneurship. It is glorious. And so when it comes to profits, we created this blueprint. Very few things that we believe in our business for solopreneurs can actually be blueprinted. At the end of the day, we're not cars. You're not IKEA. You're a human being, which means we can't take your business, since you are your business, and put you on an assembly line and just pop a successful business out on the other side. There's a lot of nuances to solopreneurship, and a lot of people try to shove too many templated approaches down someone's throat. But at the end of the day, if we were to take a way of building a business model for a solopreneur and create a blueprint, this is exactly what it would look like. So stick around for the end. I've got a bunch of free resources for you. You're going to want to stick around for those. They are amazing. I've got a bunch of free stuff. It's completely ungated. You don't have to sign up for anything, and there's no sales pitch. It is literally just stick around, enjoy the training from SoloCon, and then I'm going to equip you with some of the resources that you hear me reference in this blueprint. So enjoy the Poetic Profits Blueprint training from SoloCon, and I'll see you again on the other side of the video. Okay, so Profits Blueprint. Here's what it looks like to make profits in a human way from a place of purpose. Okay, we've mapped this out. I'm going to make it as simple as possible for you. Let me shrink down the size of my face just a bit so you can see this a little bit easier. Producing, presenting, performing. Again, marketing, sales, delivery. Let's start with performing in mind first, the end in mind. One of our core frameworks inside the Poetics is something we just call the story diamond. What is the story diamond? By now, some of you are starting to connect the dots and recognize, gosh, it's all about my story. What you're monetizing is your wisdom. That wisdom is the byproduct of the story that you've lived, the lessons you've learned, integrated as wisdom back into your life. That means that you have a signature story. That signature story is the center of your entire business. There are 5 facets to this particular diamond. Okay, those 5 facets are a traditional solopreneur's core offerings. Maybe a signature talk, an experience, a live event of some kind. Maybe do retreats, maybe do virtual summits, maybe do workshops, seminars, a hero product. Maybe that's a course or an initial 12-week something. CCC, MRR, for us, that's code for content, coaching, and community. To us, that's how we would define mentoring. We view mentoring and coaching as different. Coaching is one component of mentoring by our standard. MRR just stands for monthly recurring revenue. We also think every business owner should have a book. Now, these are monetized in different ways, but these are 5 core offerings. Your story diamond might have 6 facets or 3 facets, but this is how we focus on delivery. This is how we perform. It's all anchored in your signature story. Now, to get someone to this story diamond and paying you to deliver that wisdom and work with them, you have to have an offer. This is where we see other things from the purpose circle coming into the Profits Blueprint. We have to have an irresistible offer. There are 6 components to an irresistible offer. Once you get your irresistible offer in place, that is the thing that exists between sales and delivery. If you're getting stuck between sales and delivery, you might have an offer problem. All that falls into the productizing category, in my opinion. Now, there are 4 ways of selling in my book. A sales doc. What is a sales doc? Actually, let's just give you an example of one. It's going to feel like I'm pitching right now. This is not a pitch. We don't do that. We just want to give you an example. Team, can you just grab like the Grow sales doc, for example? Just drop that into the chat. You guys can have this as a template or a reference. Sometimes we're in conversations with people and they're like, just what are the details? I just need to see the details of the offer. This is how we deliver the details of the offer. It could be a Google Doc, a Notion page. It's not a fancy, pretty sales page on the internet. It's just a document with the details of the offer and how it works. Okay, we'll give you an example of that in the chat here in a sec. That's a private link. Now, we can also do a sales chat. What's a sales chat? Similar to a sales call. It's a conversation. Remember, we start with connection. Then we have a conversation because conversion happens after connection and conversation. How many of you had a conversation with me via email before you came to SoloCon? Yeah. Of the people raising their hands, how many of you had a sales conversation with me where I pitched you upside the head and said you should buy this thing? 0 hands. Why? Because that was just a conversation. We're just in conversation. Okay. I didn't present an offer because none of you at any of those stages in the conversation said, hey, Harris, I'd love to hire you. What does that look like? At that point, I would have sent you a sales doc. Maybe, right? So sales docs, sales chats, sales calls. A sales call is another version of a conversation. Those are the same thing. A sales chat is something that happens in private, DMs on socials, maybe email, even though it's not as efficient. And then we also have sales pages. Sometimes we sell things with a sales page. Team, throw in the Story 2025 sales page. That's far off for you guys. It's an event in October. That's an example of a sales page. I think it's just story2025.com. What is that? Details of the offer, similar to a sales doc, but it's a public page. It's a little bit prettier, has strong sales copy on it, less of a conversation, more available to the public. Why? Because of price point and ease. We'll have 1,000 people at that conference. We don't have the size of team that can manage having 3,000 conversations to sell 1,000 tickets. So that sales process will be more automated. We sell it from a page. So a sales page is public. Those are the 4 ways to sell. Here's the great news. You only need one of those. When people come into being clients of ours, we don't even focus on all 4. We help them pick the right one of the 4 that best aligns with their strengths and their offering. You only have to be good at one. You don't have to master all 4. You can't master all 4 at once. There's both an art and the science to each one. So we pick one. You need one irresistible offer. One of these 5 facets of your diamond turn into one irresistible offer with one of these 4 ways of selling. That's it. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now and you're like, this is a lot, you just pick one from each column. That's it. Just one. Okay, now I'm going to make things harder on you. Now you have to start doing more than one thing. Okay, so you're going to pick one from those columns as we're working our way back. Now you got to pick 3 things. We call it the nurture triad. What is the nurture triad? A literal 3-part process where someone is getting emails from you. We call it the weekly wisdom method. You're nurturing and building a relationship with them by sharing your wisdom and expertise on a regular basis. You're getting them into some sort of community. You're building a community of people. You're gathering them together online from time to time or getting them into some sort of platform. Maybe it's a free circle community, a free Slack channel, a free Facebook group. Maybe it's just community as an undertone and you get together on Zoom from time to time and you're meeting up. So now you're building a relationship by sharing your point of view and expertise. You're gathering community together. So now everyone's like-minded. And then you're always having conversations with people, just like I had conversations with you guys. Did those conversations take me time? Yeah. Do I have time to have those conversations? Not like Monday through Friday while I'm sitting in front of my computer. It happens in the margins. While you guys were scrolling Instagram, consuming instead of creating, I was connecting with people and having conversations before you attended this conference with no expectation other than just to connect with you and learn about your businesses. It was awesome. What was I doing? I wasn't pulling from some fancy script. I was being a human. I was doing what Ben was talking about because I care about you and think you're the most purpose-driven entrepreneurs on the planet. Okay. But while I was having those conversations with you, we were gathering everyone together for a free event so we could build a community of solopreneurs, and you were also getting emails. That's what the Nurture Triad is. Okay. What did we do before that? We produced some stuff. Okay. Remember, this is the marketing stuff. Okay. So what did we produce? Few things. One, we run and install in people's businesses something called the Authority Builder. There are 4 pillars to building authority. Authority is what some of us have that others don't, that makes those of us who have it sell things just a little bit easier. Okay? I will never forget the time that I showed up to a conference and I was getting paid $500 to do this thing at a conference. It was in an arena in front of 12,000 leaders. It was a great opportunity. That's why I did it. But I had to come in a day early and do a tech rehearsal. I had to get this big prop, which means I couldn't fly. I had to drive and truck it into town. I had to go through all these approvals with the production crew. And I was on stage for about 15 minutes. The next day, finally came time for us to get up on stage and do our thing. I did my 15 minutes. After I was done, a speaker who had yet to step on the stage and even test their own microphone walked up on stage and did another 15 minutes after mine. That person got paid $30,000. I got paid $500. Do we get paid based on our time or our value? Why did that person get paid $30,000 and I only got paid $5,000? Multiple reasons, one of which was brand authority. He had built authority and subject matter expertise and anchored it in wisdom in a way that I had not. the thing that I was delivering was overly commoditized. It was entertainment, not expertise. I got paid for what I delivered. He got paid for what he delivered people from. Big difference. How do we do that? By building brand authority. How do you get it? Oh, we need more than a day together, right? We need more than a day together to get through all these trainings. Right now, I'm giving you a flyover so you know what to focus on. The lead gen accelerator. By show of hands, how many of you have a lead magnet, some free resource that people can download from you to get onto your email list? How are people raising their hands and showing interest in becoming a part of your world? That is way too few hands. Okay, we got to fix that. Lead Gen Accelerator is a way of getting, right now, you are at a free event. It costs you nothing to attend. And so far, two things are happening. I'm allowing myself to be known. Told you some stories in session 1. I'm being vulnerable. I've failed a lot. I've succeeded a lot. I'm a little bit further along the line. I'm not a billionaire, but my business is probably a little bit bigger than most of yours. I'm building a little bit of authority, but I'm also building some trust. I'm allowing you to know me so you can decide if you like me. Not everyone is going to. That's okay. We're not for everybody. But all that comes from allowing myself to be known. But now, what is the result of all this? You're also on our email list. The nurture triad is happening. You're at a free event. You're raising your hands. You're opting in, okay? That's the Lead Gen Accelerator. A lot of you came here from an ad that we ran on a platform, which is a part of that Lead Gen Accelerator training. So we got to build an audience. That's how we do it. The weekly wisdom method. What is the weekly wisdom method? Week in and week out, you should be sharing your wisdom. This is where organic marketing kicks in, primarily to your email list, but also on social media. You can demystify that. A lot of you are trying to go wide by posting a different post about a different subject every day of the week. And you just need to go deep, and it's going to simplify your entire marketing approach. Get into treating your marketing like an engine. It's like a content engine, okay? A weekly cadence with one piece of hero content that then gets repurposed across a variety of mediums and platforms. Okay, this is an awesome training. You don't even need to go through it right now to get immediate value from it. Take that concept, look at the name of it, the weekly wisdom method. How can you take one big piece of wisdom that's valuable to your ICA and create a hero piece of content first? And then how can I go deep instead of wide? By dispersing that same piece of content from a variety of perspectives across a variety of platforms. Okay, now the lead gen accelerator, I'm getting leads. I'm getting people onto my list, into my world. Now I'm nurturing relationships with them. I'm building authority, even more authority through the weekly wisdom method. We teach our clients to run a monthly workshop. That way they have a marketing engine with something that's happening daily, weekly, and monthly. And now this starts to get demystified a bit, right? It's like, okay, this whole marketing, sales, delivery thing is actually pretty simple. I'm building authority by getting leads daily. I'm nurturing a relationship with them on a weekly content plan. And then once a month, I get them online. I run a workshop. I continue to nurture relationships with the nurture triad. After I nurture relationships with the nurture triad, because they came into my world and these things, I now get to present an offer to the people who are interested. That offer is irresistible because I'm positioned and productized properly. And now I get to focus on delivering my program or my offer or my service or my product because it's one of the 5 facets of the story diamond. What's the area of focus that you need to work on? And what are your hesitations? Where are you finding yourself roadblocked? All right, good stuff, right? Hopefully you're not overwhelmed right now, but instead you are simply viewing this as what it is, not a complete training on all the different components that you should have in place as a solopreneur in your business, but instead an opportunity to zoom way out, kind of like you're twisting a camera lens to try to get a full view of the entire model of marketing, sales, and delivery for solopreneurship. Now, I want to give you a few resources that are great next steps for you, starting with the end in mind. If you haven't experienced our training around the Story Diamond Framework yet, I want you to check that out. I did a full 90-minute workshop. It's totally free. We do it on a regular basis live, but there's a link to a recording of it down in the description, the video below. And so check that out if you want to go through that training. It'll show you how we talk about the delivery mechanisms inside of a solopreneur's business and how you can take one signature story but use it to refract your revenue into multiple revenue streams. It's very cool. It's simple and yet revolutionary, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you watch the workshop. That workshop alone could be a 7-figure epiphany for you. I don't want to sound like hyperbole. Let me just cut to the chase. There's a bunch of junk here on YouTube. Lots of hyperbole, lots of dramatic stuff. All of this is anchored in experience. We run this workshop on a regular basis. It's not far-fetched or dramatic to say that that workshop changes people's lives. It changes the entire trajectory of their career as a solopreneur. And so check that out if you haven't seen it yet. It's one of our signature trainings, the Story Diamond Workshop. I want to give you access to a couple of different sales resources around sales docs and a sales call. I'm happily making our scripts available to you and to give you different examples of sales docs. Those are in the video description below as well. And one of the questions we get most often is around the nurture triad. So if I have people regularly kind of coming into my world, whether that's through organic marketing, social media, podcasting, content on platforms like this on YouTube, once they come into my audience in my world, what do I do with them? And one of the lowest pieces of fruit hanging that you should be able to reach up and grab is to leverage automation. You know, everyone's talking about generative AI like ChatGPT and Claude, and that's really cool. It's a major renovation in artificial intelligence. But the reality is we've been using AI for years and years and years. It's been around. It's been working behind the scenes. Little robots on the internet using intelligence to segment people and send them certain things. And at the very least, you should have some automations in place so that you can continue to take your story and ensure it's told, but to do that when people are joining your list without you having to manually send it out all the time. And I want to give you a copywriting swipe file for a series of 7 nurture emails you can send to begin the process of strengthening your relationship with your prospects. It's based on a training we did called Nurture. It's an acronym, NURTURE. And those are 7 themed emails. We've already written them and templated them. They're proven, they're trusted, and you can just download the entire swipe file. Just replace a few things, customize them with your info and your story. And then I'll walk you in that training through how to build that automation on whatever platform you use. So there you go. There's a handful of resources for you. There might be some other stuff we'll stick down in the description, but this video in particular is rich with resources. So don't skip the video description on this one. And if you're not sure where to start, click below, hop over to that Story Diamond workshop and check that out. Hey, if you're wondering what it looks like to get support from us, we'd love to hear from you. There's also a link in the description. Fill out a short application. We don't make public offers here at Istoria or inside the Poetics. We just like to review, get to know folks and their business, and we only like to work with people if we're confident that we can help you, and which is how we end up with so many positive case studies. We just never make offers to people that are not a good fit. And so you've got to feel good about us. We've got to feel good about you. We want to develop a relationship with each other. This isn't a transactional thing. So if that makes sense to you, click the link, fill out the application. We'll have a quick chat just to connect and get to know each other. And then if it makes sense to continue having future conversations, we can do that as well. We can help you quickly if we determine that it's a quick, easy yes. But otherwise, we don't rush this process. So hope you enjoyed this video. Give us a like, subscribe, stick around. Lots more amazing resources headed your way, especially for solopreneurs. You are one of the most purpose-driven types of entrepreneurs on the planet, which is why we feel led at Istoria to make resources just like this one available to you. Thanks for all you do. We'll see you in the next video.